Well, I'm just thinking out loud here, just trying to take a moment here to just kind of do some open and honest thinking. It's nothing wrong with actually sitting down and really reflecting back on things and really just kind of coming to terms with certain things and certain truths, that we kind of learn throughout the course of living. And one thing about it I can actually say, is that we go through things, and actually we go through things, to kind of, teach us about life, teach us about people, teach us about situations, and teach us about a whole lot of other things that you really cannot learn in a textbook, from a classroom. And one of those things that I actually learned out of everything that I've been through out of life, the main thing that I've learned is to protect things that are very valuable. And one of the I would say one of the greatest things that's actually valuable to me, that is worth protecting is your peace. I don't think I ever did a video about, talking about peace. I may have mentioned it, in jest and other videos, and such like that, but I never actually really dedicated a standard video talking about, the concept of peace, what it is, and what we need to do to protect our peace. Because basically, we're living in a troubled world right now where a lot of things are happening and, people are looking for relief here, there, and everywhere else that you can find some sort of relief. And basically they come away with the fact that they are still really not at a state of, being okay. And see, one thing about it and what I've really learned is that sometimes, the biggest things that really matters, you really cannot put a value on it. You know how we do, with, how we see things in life, we always put like some sort of monetary value with it, as far as like cash and everything of that nature. But when you're talking about peace, you cannot put a price tag on that because basically, it's something that we all strive for. And basically, again, you can't put a price tag on it. But once you get it, you seem to be okay. And basically, these are one of those concepts that you learn, I guess, for the most part, later in life. And basically, it's something that is actually beautiful. I believe, honestly, to tell you the truth, I believe that the greatest lessons that we learn are later in life. You know what I mean? And I'll put that out there because basically, when you're young, you're not really sitting down and really taking advice from people. You're not really considering different things. You're just living your life, in the moment, doing what you can because you know that you can. You're young, you're youthful, you're beautiful, you're attractive, but you're not really sitting down and thinking, okay, I'm not going to be this way forever. I may be happy now, but what really is going to make me happy, in the long term? And basically, I actually, again, that's pretty much, I guess, the thought process that inspired me, to do this video. I'm always about, peace, and basically, as you get older, you begin to think about things and look at life differently. The things that used to, make us happy and everything of that nature, you grow out of it. The people who you used to hang around, you've grown from them, you become a lot wiser, you've kind of developed a new social circle, where you are actually, very particular about who you actually want or let into your inner circle, who you conversate with, and the thing about it, again, all of those ideas and philosophies and stuff, all kind of centers around what keeps you calm, what makes you happy, what makes life worth living. And one of those things, again, is that we make those choices based on the fact of what, is it going to bring us joy? Is it going to bring us peace? And one thing about it, again, is that peace, again, I keep reiterating it. You cannot put a price tag on it because it's priceless. You can't assign any type of monetary value with it. It's so valuable to the fact that even in the Bible, it talks about peace, that, we should seek it and the thing about it, there's a scripture in the Bible that tells us also, to kind of live as peacefully as we can with one another, because even in the Bible already knows that you got people who are just miserable. You know what I mean? It's like they don't have anything positive to say. They don't bring anything positive to the forefront. They're just miserable people. So the fact that the Bible mentions the concept of peace and how we should seek it, and abide in it, that lets you know that this is a valuable, necessary thing that we need, especially in this day and time. Because again, there's just so much turmoil that's going on in the world to, sometimes it can make make you want to pull your hair out, because again, it's just one of those things. But see, the thing about it again is that in order for you to protect your peace, you got to, of course, be cognizant of the people who you actually let around or who you actually befriend. And one thing, again, and these are one of those lessons in life, one of those things that we talk about that's called wisdom, which, of course, a lot of you already know that I'm all about, not to toot my own horn, but I try to be as wise as possible, even though I do kind of have a slip up every now and then, because I'm not afraid, to admit it. I'm human, believe it or not. Just kidding. But, we have to be able to protect our peace. And one of the ways that we protect our peace is that we have to make sure that we stay away from the people that try to rob us of peace. That's real talk. And the thing about it again is that, a lot of us wonder why, we can't get anywhere in life. Why is it such a struggle? Why can't I do this? Why can't I be around that? Why can't I achieve this? And the thing about it again is a lot of times, the solution is within yourself. You have to go back and actually really look deep within yourself and really see, your in and outs, your dealings with people, the type of people that you call your quote unquote friends. And the thing about it again is that I promise you that when you actually go back and really kind of delve into these, crevices and really kind of go back and really investigate your dealings with certain people, you'll realize that if you let them go, you'll be a lot better off. Now, again, this is not a recipe to sit up there and actually think that you're better than everybody else and this, that, and the other. But the thing about it, sometimes, the best lesson in life is for you to step back and just take a synopsis of everything that's going on around you. And the thing about it again is that when you sit back and take a look at everything that's going on around you, you will begin to really look and see things for what they are. You won't actually accept it per se for what it is on the surface. You'll begin to look a bit deeper. And by looking deeper, you'll begin to get a better perspective of what's going on. And the thing about it again is that once you've gotten that perspective, you'll be able to make the necessary, decisions that you're going to need to make that will bring you the peace that you so desperately desire and that you deserve. When you hang around people who are toxic, or when you invite toxic people into your circle, or when you continue to engage with toxic people, basically it begins to affect you as a human being. It begins to affect your total being. It's a lot. It's kind of weird to say that, there's a saying that says something like, if you could tell, you can kind of examine what a person is by the friends that they actually have. Something along those lines. Or is it something like, if I can tell you who I am, if I can tell you what type of friends I hang around, or some sort of cliche. I cannot think of the name. It's like on the tip of my tongue, but I can't say it the way that I need to say it. But anyway, if I can figure it out, I'll post it. But basically, you have to be careful about the type of people that you call your friends and who you hang around, because they are a basic definition of who you want to be. Bam, there it is. That's what I was looking about. Thank you. You can define yourself based on your friends, and the thing about it again is that you got a lot of people who actually take comfort and seek comfort in people who really mean them no good. And the sad part about it again is this is not so much, going on outside, in the neighborhoods. It also happens online, and the thing about it again is that I can speak from experience. I'm having to really cut ties and really cut, friendships and cut conversations with a whole lot of people that I used to, conversate with when I first started, YouTube, because I had to come to the fact to know, okay, you know what, by me continually to engage you or to engage them is really not bringing me any fulfillment. See, one thing that we have to understand is that you want to be around and surround yourself around people who actually are there and that actually care about your well-being, not being selfish and just caring about themselves. And the thing about it is that you want to surround yourself around people who actually make you want to be around them. You know what I mean? It's kind of weird to say it, but you really want to be around people who motivate you to be a better person. If you can find somebody who actually takes joy out of just sucking the very life out of you, don't never have anything positive to say to you, and this, that, and the other, that lets you know, by definition, they're toxic. And the thing about it again is that the more that you hang around their toxicity, the more you will begin to develop their way of thinking, the more you will begin to act like them. That's why, again, you have to be careful about what you entertain or who you entertain. Because, again, everybody that's out there that laughs in your face, and everything like that, they are not your friend. They're just trying to figure you out so they can figure out a way on how to get into your innermost vulnerable parts and do their worst if given the opportunity. But, like I said, I'm not saying all of this to try to, to make people run away from friendships, because what you have to understand, friendships are a beautiful thing. Friendships are one of those things that's a part of us that help us to kind of reminisce and remember the good times, remember the hard times, remember the things that are most important in life. Now, like I say, I don't want anybody to misconstrue everything that I'm saying to kind of go back and kind of avoid people altogether, because remember, no man is an island. Everybody needs somebody. We are all in this life together. We have to lean on one another. We have to be able to encourage one another. The Bible even tells us, to use our words to edify and not to tear down. So we have to really keep these things and these principles in mind. But what we have to understand is that even in seeking out friends, number one, the Bible says, you have to present yourself as a friend. I cannot sit there and tell you how many people expect so much out of life, but yet still they are not willing to apply and to really go and do the right thing to go out to get the best things in life. It's like, okay, they want all of these friends, but yet still they want to continue to treat people like dirt. And I don't understand how in the world they can actually continue to live this way, thinking, that good is going to come, even though corruptness comes from them. And like I said, and I've witnessed this time and time again, and I've learned a lot, from my years of being here on YouTube. I've come across a lot of people who, I would sit back and study, and this, that, and the other, and I would just visit their videos, and I would just see, just how toxic they are. And the thing about it again is that I would see, for the most part, the reason why they're toxic. And the thing about it again is everything has a reason for, whatever it is. Sometimes you got people that are toxic because they really don't have anybody that really showed any genuine love to them. It is what it is. That's life. These are situations that, life presents at sometimes. And you have to really be able to look and really see these things and know what's really going on. You got people that says a whole lot, but the issue is that the more that they ramble, you'll begin to really see why they are the way that they are. And with some of them, they make no apologies about it, and I'm like, okay, well, you know what? It is what it is. I'm not here to change anybody. I can't change anybody. So, we have to be able to accept things and people just as they are. Nobody is perfect. But one thing about it, again, is that, even with all of this and you're sitting back and looking at videos, you begin to understand and see the effects of why, and what being toxic is doing to them. Is leaving a lot of them, alone, lonely, and the thing about it, again, is that, and because of that, they figure that the whole world is against them. And because of that, they become and develop these personalities where, it's kind of like they become in attack mode. Meaning that anytime somebody offers anything positive, they begin to attack because they don't even know what it means to have someone to show them an act of kindness. And that's very sad in and of itself. But we have to really be able to understand, and be able to identify and really see toxic people for who they are. You know what I mean? And, and the thing about it again is that, I really love learning. One thing about it is that as long as you're alive, you'll never stop learning. As they say, the day that you stop learning, you won't be here anymore. But one thing about it again is that, when, throughout the course of living and of course, dealing with YouTube and everything like that, sometimes, you do videos and everything like that. And then people just come, we call them trolls, that say some of the most heinous things, and and you're thinking like, what did I do to provoke such a reaction from people? Or in other words, why did I attract that attention? Why did this person interrupt whatever they was doing throughout their day just to come onto my platform to leave a dumb behind message? And I've asked that question many times. Like I say, I'm not saying that I'm anybody perfect, but, sometimes we get to the point where we are, trying to be good people and do good by others, but yet still you get pretty much the bad hand, from other people. And you begin to question yourself, hey, okay, why is it that, such and such said such things about me, and the thing about it again is that I know it's not true, but what would actually motivate somebody to do that? And see, one thing about it again is that that's one of those things, what I would call, the lessons that we learn, or I would say they're called growing pains that, that we have to go through, especially when you're talking about social media and all that it entails, where you're dealing with people, you're dealing with a community, you're putting your information out there for a whole lot of other people to see. And even though your message may be positive and everything is, as far as what your video says, it's still going to draw negative people. I don't know. It's just one of those things. I'll never understand it. But you just got some people who are just genuinely miserable and they really don't have anything to say. So basically what they try to do is they try to bring somebody else on their level to feel that same misery that they're feeling. And then once they figure that, okay, and they can see that in the expression that they got to you, that's when they're okay. And like I say, it took a little bit of time and very much patience, trial and error on my part to master these people. And the thing about it, I'm not saying that I'm completely, past that course in life yet, even though I have made a whole lot of great strides. It used to be to the fact that, I would wear my heart on my sleeves, and I would always wonder, okay, and it would actually get to the point where I would even be afraid to post a video because of, again, the backlash that I may have received from a couple of comments from a video prior where I talked about something, and it didn't even have to be anything negative. It's just about general observations about life. And then, of course, someone would always feel the need to come onto my page and leave these comments thinking that it would somehow affect me. And apparently at some point it did, but I had to understand and really come to a hard truth about life is that some people are just generally miserable people. And the thing about it again is that, there's nothing that you can offer a person who chooses to dislike you. And see, I love that. I love that. I love, the fact that I actually had to come to that term and really understand what that means. With some people, you can be as nice as you can to them. You can be as courteous as you can to them. You can even try to even break bread and make, quote unquote, peace with them. But they will turn around and give you their behinds to kiss. Why? Because they've already made up in their minds that I don't like you and there is nothing that you can do about it. It was a hard concept for me to understand, especially dealing with people here on YouTube about it. But I had to learn, look, it's okay. Life is still going to go on. You're going to still live and breathe, sleep and eat, I hope. And I'm going to still do the same. So in doing that, I want to make sure that I'm actually okay with, me going on and living my life and not letting one or two little comments interrupt my flow. Because again, that's just one person that I will probably never, ever meet in this life. And I cannot sit there and let something that comes from one person who, again, I'll never meet affect the rest of my life or affect me in my mood as far as how I feel about myself at that time. So I actually, again, had to, come to those terms, and really understand, that it's okay to be disliked. If anything, that's pretty much my comfort zone because I'm used to it. Because one thing about it, again, is that lets me know that I'm different and people don't understand me. And that's what I like. I like it when I'm a mystery to people. I love it. I would much rather be in a place like that than anything else, but we have to understand that there is a method of thinking. There's a characteristic. There are certain common traits that people have who we like to consider as toxic. And one thing about it is that we have to understand something. And I kind of touched on it already, is that they're always negative. They don't never have anything positive to say. They're always bringing, you something to kind of, make your mood unstable. It's always something that is loom and gloom. And, it's like almost every time you see them, there's no hope. They're not happy unless you're down on the dumps. And I'm like, well, my goodness, this is real. I have to make sure that, to protect my peace, I got to make sure that I do what I can to identify and see these traits in others. So I won't allow that to overcloud me in my mood. Okay. The other characteristic here is that, they look at you as competition. And see, one thing about it is that toxic people, like I say, nobody is born toxic. Let's just get real to it. Let's just break it down to the little bits by bits and get it over with. Okay. Nobody is born toxic. Nobody is born with a negative disposition. Nobody's born that way. These are traits that are actually learned. And in order for you to learn something, that means that you have to be around it and be exposed to it enough where you begin to learn the ins and outs of it. And you begin to kind of walk and live in that thing yourself. And then you try to portray it onto other people. And see, one thing about it, again, is that competition, depending on the concept where you're coming from, it can be a healthy thing. But in cases like this, all too often, especially when it comes from toxic people, it's not a good thing. One thing about it is that when we talk about toxicity as far as competition, we call them haters. Oh, yeah. We remember, I think I did a video about that recently. And basically, when you are around people who are constantly trying to, I guess, bring out or actually trying to get other people to see a possible negative inside of you, that lets them know or lets me know that they look at me as a threat. They see something in me that they don't understand, that they know that could possibly be good, and it will outshine their shade. And one thing about it, again, is that when you run across those people, it's like they are constantly always trying to find something. They are never satisfied with just letting things be as it is. They're always trying to find something like some sort of new knowledge or something that's unknown to try to bring to other people's attention to try to make you feel like you're not worthy. And we run across this every day on YouTube. And I know I have, and I've had my share of it, but I had to put things in its proper place. And the thing about it, again, is I've gotten to the point where I cannot stop a person from digging and trying to research and trying to find everything they can about me. I mean, like I say, I always say that I'm an open book here on YouTube. Now, I will say this. There are certain things that I won't post here on YouTube. And again, that's nobody's business but mine and whatever else that's going on, as far as that goes. Because again, what I want known on YouTube is what I will post and what I will talk about. And what I don't want other folks to know, I just won't talk about it on YouTube. And if somebody may ask me about it, I'll just simply tell them that it's none of their business. Not that there's anything that I have to hide, but there's just some things that I just choose not to talk about on YouTube. Because again, toxic people will actually try to use that as a way of trying to put you down or trying to bring shame on you. And trust me, we already know certain people here on YouTube that actually, has that characteristic about themselves. They're not happy themselves. The issue is that they are very toxic. They know that they are toxic, but the issue is that when it's brought to them, they run from it as if it's not them, it's you. But anyway, let's move on. The last point there that I want to talk about is, again, as far as a characteristic of toxic people, is that they don't want to take accountability. They don't want to actually see themselves as being the problem. And one thing about it, again, is that in order to actually get to a solution, you have to, first of all, get to the problem. And again, that until you notice or really understand that sometimes you can be a part of the problem, then there won't be a solution. There's been many times where I actually had to catch myself, where I was, quote unquote, being a hater. I'm not embarrassed to say it because we've all been there. And if you say you haven't, you're lying. It's been many times where we may have misspoke about somebody because, they may be onto something or maybe doing something better in life, or maybe they may even look better or may have a better body than you, and the next thing, we say something that's kind of a little bit out of the way that is not so nice. And we know that it's not so nice, but we say it anyway to try to make the other person feel insecure. And the thing about it, again, is that we're the ones who feel insecure because we looked at them as competition. But until you turn that light on yourself and actually see it for what it is, that, hey, I'm being a hater, I need to kind of, take self an inventory and get this thing out. Because one thing about it, being toxic is not a beautiful thing at all. It's very unattractive. I don't care. You cannot cover that up with makeup. You cannot pump weights to build muscle to overshadow it. It sits there just like insecurity, and it shows itself. The more you talk about it, the more you speak, the more that it will show itself. That's why, we have to do all that we can to get all of that toxicity out of us so we can have some peace. And the thing about it, and most of all, remove ourselves from toxic people so we don't have to deal with that stuff being in us. Now, again, this is not a recipe to avoid life. Let me say that again. Everything that I'm saying here about avoiding toxic people, that's not to say that, you stay in your house and be like a hermit, for the rest of your life. Because remember, that's a big wide world out there and we have to live in it and you have a lot of people to meet. But one thing about it is, again, is that what I'm trying to get folks to understand is to really look deeper into the relationships that you form with certain people. Because, again, everybody can present themselves as a friend at first. And then the more that you get to know them, then you'll begin to see the real person. And then next thing you know, you'll begin to see what's truly in the heart. And then what's in the heart, that's what's going to come out of the mouth. The Bible tells us that out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. So whatever is in that heart is going to follow up by coming up out of the mouth. And some of the stuff that will come up out of the mouth will really have people really wondering, you've been a hater all along. But anyway, I just figured that this, I would just talk about that a little bit, kind of thinking out loud tonight. But like I say, more videos coming soon. Y'all folks be blessed.